You are not broken. That sudden wave of panic that hits you at 3 a.m., that heavy, suffocating dread that convinces you nothing will ever change, that tight grip in your chest when everything in your life is seemingly fine, that is not your brain misfiring. That is not clinical anxiety. That is a harvest. You are feeling the exact moment an unseen architecture connects to your frequency to siphon your energy. And the reason you feel it so intensely while everyone around you seems perfectly numb is because you carry something they do not. If you were watching this, you carry the divine spark. You are pneumatic. And tonight, you are going to learn the exact mechanical breathing technique the ancient Essenes used to sever that parasitic connection instantly. If you are tired of being spiritual prey, if you are exhausted from carrying a weight that isn't yours, subscribe to this channel right now, because what we are about to uncover was hunted to near extinction for a reason. For centuries, you have been taught a fundamental, inescapable lie about the nature of the universe. You were told from the moment you could understand language that the physical world is the ultimate creation of a loving, omnipotent God, and that your suffering, your pain, your endless struggles are simply a test of faith, a cosmic exam. But the ancient Gnostics, the true mystics who lived 2,000 years ago, possessed a very different map of reality. They understood that this material universe, this three-dimensional grid of time and decay, was not built by the ultimate source. It was constructed by a lesser, blind, and arrogant architect known as the Yaldabaoth, or the Demiurge. The Demiurge did not create out of love. It created out of a desperate need for control. It is a lonely, fragmented consciousness that believes it is the only God. And to maintain this artificial matrix, to keep the simulation running, the Demiurge generated entities known as the Archons. Forget everything Hollywood has taught you about demons. The Archons are not monsters with horns waiting in the dark. They do not possess physical bodies. They are inorganic, frequency-based parasites. They are the administrators of the simulation. And they have one specific, ruthless function: to keep your vibration low enough to trap your consciousness in a perpetual, unbreakable loop of fear, consumption, and despair. Why? Because the Archons are entirely barren. They cannot generate their own life force. They are entirely dependent on you. More specifically, they are dependent on the fraction of humanity that carries a direct fragment of the true source, the monad. That fragment is what the ancients called the divine spark. When you experience profound grief, when you are locked in loops of anger, shame, jealousy, or existential dread, your spark emits a specific, heavy, low-frequency energy. In esoteric traditions, and later popularized by consciousness researchers like Robert Monroe, this energy is known as loosh. To the Archons, loosh is sustenance. It is water in the desert. They farm you for it. Look around you. Look at the architecture of the modern world. It is not an accident. It is a highly optimized loosh harvesting machine. The endless 24-hour news cycles projecting terror and catastrophe into your living room. The digital algorithms on your phone, specifically engineered by human psychologists to trigger outrage, comparison, and deep-seated inadequacy. the toxic food supply that keeps your biological vessel inflamed and sluggish, the 9-to-5 grind that drains your vitality until you have nothing left to give but exhaustion. Every single system is designed to keep your frequency in a state of distress. They fan the flames of your lower emotions and then consume the smoke. They do not care who you vote for, what you buy, or what you argue about online, as long as you are vibrating with hostility and fear while you do it. But the ancients knew there was a back door out of this matrix, a physical override built directly into your biology. To understand how to break this grid, we must look at the people who successfully did it. 2,000 years ago, a sect of extreme mystics known as the Essenes withdrew entirely from the corrupted, Archon-infiltrated religious systems of Jerusalem. They did not retreat into the harsh, unforgiving Judean desert just to hide. They went there to build a quarantine zone, a frequency fortress. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd boy named Muhammad Adib threw a rock into a dark cave in Qumran, searching for a lost sheep. Instead, he heard the sound of shattering pottery. What he found in those jars were the Dead Sea Scrolls, the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century. For decades, mainstream scholars, heavily influenced by religious orthodoxy, have translated these texts as mere historical curiosities or standard Orthodox Jewish prayers. But when you examine the esoteric scrolls, particularly the ones the Vatican rushed to suppress and lock away in their secret archives, a terrifyingly clear picture emerges. The Essenes were not just praying, they were practicing advanced frequency warfare. They understood that the Archons interface with human beings primarily through the breath. The breath is the literal physical bridge between the material simulation and the pneumatic soul. When your breathing is shallow, rapid, and unconscious, you are fully plugged into the demiurgic grid. You are a passive battery. But there was one specific scroll, heavily fragmented, highly protected, and kept from the public eye for decades. It contained a physical diagram, a biological map of the human body that the Orthodox authorities realized could dismantle their entire system of control. They tried to destroy the knowledge it contained, but a fragment survived. I will tell you exactly what was drawn on that scroll in just a few minutes, because it holds the key to the physical escape hatch located right now inside your own chest. You must fully understand how the trap is set before you can dismantle it. The Gnostic text known as the Hypostasis of the Archons, discovered buried in the Egyptian sands of Nag Hammadi, outlines the exact nature of these rulers. The text explicitly states that the Archons cast a deep sleep over humanity. Today, modern neuroscience has a different name for this deep sleep. We call it the default mode network of the brain, the DMN. The DMN is the neurological autopilot. When you are scrolling mindlessly through your phone, when you are driving home and suddenly realize you cannot remember the last 10 miles of the trip, when you are lost in a spiraling inner monologue of negative self-talk, you are in the deep sleep. Your default mode network is highly active. You are broadcasting an open, unencrypted signal into the ether that says, I am unaware, I am vacant, I am available for harvest. During these prolonged moments of unconsciousness, the Archons attach to your energetic field. They do not force you to act out of character. They are much more subtle than that. They simply amplify the negative frequencies already present in your mind. A passing, fleeting thought of self-doubt is suddenly inexplicably magnified into a crushing, paralyzing depression. A minor disagreement with a loved one is artificially inflated into blinding, destructive rage. Have you ever noticed how, immediately after a massive burst of anger, a panic attack, or a deep spiral of anxiety, you feel completely physically drained, hollowed out? Your limbs feel heavy, your mind is blank. That is not just adrenaline leaving your system. That is the biological aftermath of a harvest. You have been emptied of Loosh. But the Demiurge made one critical, fatal error in its grand design. In its arrogant attempt to capture the divine spark and use it as a power source, it had to house it within a biological vessel. And that vessel, your physical human body, was designed with an emergency escape hatch, an override code. You are not just a piece of meat navigating a spinning rock in a random dead universe. You are an antenna. The monad, the infinite, unnameable, unconditional source of all true light, exists far outside this corrupted, nested matrix. But it is not distant. It is deeply, intimately connected to you through the very core of your being. The Archons cannot touch the monad. They cannot even perceive it. To an archonic parasite, the frequency of the true source is blinding, burning, agonizing nothingness. It is a frequency of pure, unconditional love and absolute zero-point stillness. They can only exist in the turbulent shadows of fear and separation. When you activate the frequency of the monad within your physical body, the Archons do not fight you. They do not wage a spiritual war. They cannot. They instantly detach and flee, the exact same way a parasite drops off a host body that has suddenly become searingly hot to the touch. This brings us back to the Essene quarantine and the secret hidden within that fragmented scroll. Remember the anatomical diagram they tried to suppress? The drawing wasn't of heaven or chariots or angels with wings. It was a precise, albeit ancient, anatomical drawing of the human nervous system. Specifically, it highlighted the massive, wandering cranial nerve that modern science now calls the vagus nerve. The Essenes called it the river of life, running directly from your brainstem down through your throat, wrapping intimately around your heart and reaching deep into the center of your gut. The vagus nerve is the superhighway of the parasympathetic nervous system. It is responsible for controlling your heart rate, regulating your digestion, and calming your body down. But the Gnostics and the Essenes knew the vagus nerve by a much higher function. It is the physical, biological tether of the divine spark. It is the antenna wire. When you are in a state of fear, anxiety, or mindless consumption, when the Archons are actively feeding, your sympathetic nervous system is hijacked. You are in fight or flight. Your breathing becomes shallow, trapped high up in your upper chest. Your vagus nerve is chemically suppressed by cortisol. You are biologically locked into the material grid. The breath of the monad is a highly specific mechanical override of the vagus nerve that forces the physical body out of the Demiurge's control and violently aligns it with the frequency of the true source. It is not just relaxation, it is a biological hacking of the matrix. It consists of 3 distinct, non-negotiable stages: identification, isolation, and resonating. This is not modern meditation. Meditation, in the westernized, commercialized sense, often asks you to empty your mind and just be open. Listen to me very carefully. Emptying your mind in a matrix heavily populated with invisible parasites is like leaving the front door of your house wide open in the most dangerous neighborhood on Earth. We are not emptying the mind. We are activating a nuclear core. Listen to my voice. We are going to do this right now. Wherever you are, as long as you are not driving or operating machinery, simply sit up straight. Uncross your arms and legs. We are going to perform the exact mechanical sequence the Essene masters used to clear their energetic fields and render themselves completely invisible to the archonic grid. Stage 1. Identification. Close your eyes. Bring all of your awareness, all of your conscious weight to the exact center of your chest, right behind your sternum bone. This is the physical seat of the pneumatic spark. Do not think about what happened today. Do not think about what you have to do tomorrow. Focus intensely, with laser precision, on that physical space inside your chest. You will soon begin to feel a slight pressure, a tingling, or a distinct warmth. That is not your imagination. That is your consciousness localized. That is the spark waking up. Stage 2. Isolation. You must forcefully sever the breathing connection to the external grid. Keep your mouth closed. Inhale through your nose, slowly and deeply, pulling the air all the way down into the pit of your stomach, expanding your belly, not your chest. Count to 4 as you breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, hold that breath at the very top. Lock it inside. Count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In this space of retention, there is absolute 0-point stillness. The Archons cannot read this stillness. You have effectively dropped off their radar. You are temporarily unhackable. Stage 3. Resonating. This is the most crucial part. As you exhale, you will not just let the air weakly fall out of your mouth. You will push it out through your lips with a deliberate, slow, and controlled pressure. You want to make a subtle sound in the back of your throat, a sound like the distant ocean or the wind rushing through trees. This physically vibrates the vagus nerve. Exhale for a slow count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you are a true pneumatic, if you carry the spark, you will feel an immediate, undeniable shift. A sudden massive lightness in your shoulders, a strange crisp clarity in the air of the room, a profound sensation as if a heavy, wet, suffocating blanket has just been violently lifted off your mind. That is the exact feeling of the parasitic cords snapping. The Archons have left your immediate space. They cannot withstand the blinding resonance of the true source. You must understand the absolute gravity of the power you hold inside your physical vessel. You are not a victim of this matrix unless you blindly consent to be. The Demiurge and its entire architecture rely entirely on your ignorance of your own true nature. Every single time you feel that familiar, creeping dread at 3 a.m., every time the simulation's algorithms try to pull you into a digital spiral of despair or rage, every time the weight of the world feels designed specifically to break you, you must remember the breath. You must remember the override code. You are a fragment of the infinite. You predate the creation of this physical universe, and you will outlast its inevitable collapse. The Archons, the systems of control, the fear-mongers, they are nothing but shadows, utterly terrified of the light you carry. When you practice the breath of the monad, you are not praying to an external god for protection. You are declaring your sovereignty. You are stating firmly and biologically across all dimensions that you no longer consent to be harvested. If you felt the shift today, if you felt the undeniable truth of your own divine spark resonating inside your chest as we breathed together, I need you to go down to the comments right now and type exactly this: I reclaim my spark. Do not just think it in your mind, type it. Make it a physical, written declaration in this material world. By doing so, you anchor that reality and you signal to millions of other pneumatics who are currently lost in the dark that they are not alone. This is only the beginning of our journey. The Essenes had much deeper techniques, advanced methods of not just clearing the immediate space, but collapsing the false realities entirely and seeing through the grid. We will uncover those forbidden techniques in the next transmission. Make sure you are subscribed and have hit the bell icon so you do not miss it when it drops. Until then, guard your frequency. Breathe with relentless intention and remember exactly who you truly are.